Raider Nation, how's it going tonight? Wanted to stop by. This is Raider Sparks. Talk to you a little bit about the Raiders roster report here. Obviously, we had big news today. We signed Carl Joseph back, for our safety spot, and I believe he'll probably play the free safety position for us. And I think overall, I give this a good signing. I mean, we definitely needed a veteran free safety to come in and help out our young guys. We are going to draft one in the draft. I'm pretty confident of that, unless of course, we decide to move Jonathan Abram to free safety. And I've said that in previous videos that him physically, he is more of a free safety than anything else. And so tonight I thought we'd take a closer look at safeties from the past that have had success. Just a couple of them that get their physical traits for free safeties. Take a look at, Jonathan Abram and Carl Joseph as well, and Jeff Heath, kind of see where they rank in the mix, and then take a look at some possible free safeties in the upcoming draft. Also wanted to talk in sort of a context of, if we should draft a free safety in the first round, which of course would be Trevon Moehrig, TCU free safety. And when you lay the draft out, yes, he is worthy of a first-round pick. There's no doubt about it. He's got the tape. He's got the physical attributes to do it. But should we do it is the better question, I think. And when you really lay out the draft, there are so many safeties in this draft that meet the requirement physically and have the tape to back up their safety play, that I don't think it makes sense to draft him in the first round. I know there's a ton of people online right now pounding the drum. We have to get him. The same people were pounding the drum that we had to get, John Johnson, one of the top flight, paying $12 million for safety. And had we done that, it would have killed our cap. And I think the Raiders are looking at this draft going, wow, there are a ton of free safeties in this draft that meet what we're looking for physically, and we can develop them. So we do need a veteran to come in. I don't know Carl Joseph's contract yet, but I can't imagine it'll be too much. I'd say $3 million or less. And somebody that has ran the system. Cleveland ran a cover 3 system, so he's aware of what he's getting into. I know he's known for being a strong safety, but let's go through some typical free safeties. Earl Thomas, I guess, would be a logical one to look at since he was with Gus. He's 5'8.5", 205, 31-inch arms. He ran a 4.43 40 with an 11.3 broad jump. That's extremely athletic. 21 bench presses, a 2.50 20 split, and a 10-yard split of 1.56. So he's got the quickness, he's got the speed. You'll notice the weight, 205. And I will note this just for the draft and moving forward. I saw a stat the other day. I forget where it was, but Gus Bradley has drafted many free safeties, only one in the first round, and that was Earl Thomas. He has not drafted a free safety that weighed less than 200 pounds. So take that for its worth when we go over some of the stats. So another guy, obviously one guy that we would have loved to have had, right? Every Raiders fan, we would have paid whatever we had to for Justin Simmons. 6'2", 202, 32-inch arms. He ran a 4.61 40, but he had a 12.6 broad jump, which is incredibly athletic. A 40-inch vertical, again, incredibly athletic. 20-yard shuttle, 3.85, which is so fast. A 3-cone drill, 6.58, which is extremely fast. The bench was 16. The 20 split was 2.67, so Earl Thomas actually beat him there. And the 10 split was 1.6, and Earl Thomas beat him there was 1.56. I'm assuming because Earl Thomas is only 5'8", so those drills are a little bit easier the shorter that you are. But anyways, yeah, extremely athletic. The 12.6 broad jump and the 40 vert, those are terrific numbers. So that's kind of what you're looking for in a free safety. Malik Hooker, 6'1", 206. I know, 32-inch arms and a 4.56 40. So another guy that the Raiders were considering. Just give you some context of kind of the range. So you're kind of looking at a range of 4.43 speed up to 4.61. But I would throw the 4.61 out just because of how athletic numbers. Nobody else has a 20 shuttle even close to Justin Simmons at 3.85, or even a 3-cone at 6.58. So that 40 I think was an anomaly. But I mean, if you're looking at the speed of 4.43 and a broad jump of 11.3, I mean those are athletic skills, athletic traits that you look for in a free safety. But let's take a look at Jonathan Abram. Let's see. He's basically 5'10". He's 205. That number jumps out a lot, that 205 number. Arms 31, a 4.45 40, which is right in line with everybody else. Vertical only 33.5, but his 20 split was 260, and his 10 split was 156, was exactly the same as Earl Thomas. Carl Joseph's 5'10", 205, arms 32, and he ran a 4.57 40. So basically like Malik Hooker, a 4.57, but he didn't have the other measurables in his pro day because he was hurt. So I got the 4.57 off of Draft Scout. So I'm not even sure how accurate that really is. I heard some reports say he ran a 4.7 40. I'm not sure that's accurate either. So I'd say he's somewhere between a 4.5.5 and probably a 4.6.5, somewhere in there is probably most accurate for him. I don't have the other stats except the fact that he's 205, which is a common theme with free safeties. Jeff Heath, he's kind of a both. He goes free safety and strong safety. But he's 6'1", 209. Arms are a little shorter at 30, but he ran a 4.48 in his pro day. 10.6 broad jump, which is good, and a 37-inch vertical leap. 4.36 20 shuttle and 6.88 3-cone, and Justin Simmons was a 6.58. So his athletic ability is up there. He's very athletic, especially at 6'1". Justin Simmons is 6'2", and fairly comparable. A 1.59 10-yard split, and Justin Simmons is a 1.6. So he's basically right there with everybody else. But let's take a look at. And that's why I say that Carl Joseph and Jonathan Abrams are free safeties. Now, their athletic profile shows it, that they are free safeties. And the funny thing is, everybody talks about, and I just want to go talk about the free safety position. It's a true single high free safety, so you're not lined up on the line man-to-man coverage. You're reading the field, you're taking what comes deep, and providing support on the sidelines. You are reading if there's a run coming up and tackling. So everything's in front of you. You don't have to have that sticky coverage ability that a corner or a slot cornerback would have to have. That's our strong safety, what he's going to do. Our strong safety is going to be in more coverage snaps than our free safety. So the biggest knock that I get or that I hear about, Jonathan Abram or even Carl Joseph is their coverage ability. Well, everybody says, and then he's definitely a strong safety. Well, you're putting somebody physically that's not supposed to be there and putting them in a position where they're not as good, meaning that, the strong safeties, and I'll get to the physicality of the strong safety position, but roughly it's between 215 and 230 is what you need to do to play the strong safety position, especially in Gus Bradley's type defense. And you need to be able to cover. But in free safety, you can be back and read it. The skill set these two have, Carl Joseph and Jonathan Abram, and their physical gifts should put them at the free safety position. With that said, it's articles have been written that Jonathan Abram has been working out hard, trying to get bigger and stronger, which is obvious he needs to if he's going to play the strong safety position. So hopefully he comes into camp around 215. And ready to go. That would be awesome for the team if he could do that. So, but let's take a look at first round Trevon Moehrig is where we'd have to get him. He's 6 foot 202, which is right in line with all the other free safeties. A 4.50, which is exactly in line. It's definitely under Earl Thomas. 33-inch vertical, which is definitely under Justin Simmons and Jonathan Abram and Jeff Heath. 20-yard shuttle at 4.19. Not bad. He did have a bad back during the combine, so he didn't participate in a lot of the drills, and expected some of his times to be a little bit better. I should note his 10-yard split was 1.59, and Earl Thomas is a 1.56. But in looking at that, that's great, and he has the tape to prove it. He didn't truly play free safety. TCU kind of plays a split zone safety. So a lot of times he's back by himself, but a lot of times there's two safeties back because him and Denarius Washington would kind of cover half the field instead of a third of the third middle. So there's that. But there's not a true gift right there that really jumps out at you. And to be that first round player, that's something you might want to look for, is a true unique athletic trait that just jumps off the page. I know his tape is excellent, so and I do believe he's a first-round pick, but is he the first-round pick for us? And let's take a look at some of the other free safeties. And it's odd because a lot of the free safeties that are projected to go in the second round don't have nearly the athletic traits as some guys that are projected to go third, fourth rounds, or even later. And I'll kind of go through some of those guys with you. So the next guy, obviously we talk a lot about Richie Grant. He's 5'11", 197. And again, Gus Bradley's never drafted a safety under 200 pounds. He's drafted many of them. And he is going to be 24 at the start of the season. That is something to consider. But he did run a 4.49, a 10.9 broad jump, which is good. 34.5-inch vertical. Short shuttle 4.27. 3-cone 6.78. And Justin Simmons was 6.58. 12 reps, and then a wingspan of 77. And he had long arm 32 and 5/8 arms, but Justin Simmons is 32, Malik Hooker 32, Earl Thomas 31, to give you kind of an idea. So he has a tape, he has a breakdown. I am concerned with the false little step that he makes on breaking on some of the routes. That's something that needs to be corrected on his tape. But and again, some really good numbers, but nothing that jumps like out at you like crazy off the page athletically. I mean, there's some very good numbers there, but should we take him at the second pick when we have so many holes on the team? Something to consider. Jamar Johnson, a lot of people talk about him, 6'2", 205. Let's see, 4.58 40, so a bit slower. Vertical 35 was pretty good. 4.41 short shuttle, but a 7.27 3-cone. So maybe not the most athletic traits that we might look for in a free safety. Javon Holland, he's 6 foot, 207, so it's right there in the same category. A 4.46 40, a 10.6 broad jump, 35.5 vertical, a 4.14 short shuttle. So again, very athletic, but nothing that's like none of these guys are exactly separate themselves. Darius Washington is 5'8", 185, and my concern with him was on film, was his speed, and it bared out in his pro day at 4.61. But he did have a 10.7 broad jump, 37.5 vertical, 4.10 short shuttle. So very athletic. Anyways, he's a very good tackler. But again, the weight too. I don't know if Gus Bradley would draft that. Andre Sisco just had surgery, 6 months out of surgery, so he didn't do anything about the bench. Was 17, nothing crazy. That's pretty good for a safety. And Elijah Molden, 5'9", 192, so very light again. And he only had 29-inch arms, something to consider. And he ran a 4.59, so a lot of hype about Elijah Molden, but athletically, I don't think he fits the profile that we'd be looking for. But I wanted to kind of go down now to my favorite free safety that I think the Raiders should draft is Caden Stearns. He's 6 foot, 207. And I will say this, so it's not just the athletic profile that you need, it's tape as well. And so your Trevon, your Moehrings, your Grants, your Jamar Johnsons, Hollands, your Washingtons, Cisco's, Elijah Molds, all these guys in the first, second round prospects, they have tape to back it up. But you want to match the tape with the athletic ability as well, especially the first and second round. You want stuff that jumps off the page, I would think. At least that's what I would be looking for, and the tape to go with it. And when you look at Caden Stearns, his freshman tape is incredible. If you looked at his freshman tape and just compared it to the other guys, he would probably be your number one true free safety. Trevon, I think, would still beat him out with his tape, but Trevon's more versatile. He's a better tackler and those types of things. Caden Stearns is not the greatest tackler. But as far as a free safety goes, that tape his freshman season was fantastic. It's excellent tape. If you haven't checked it out, go watch him. Then he dealt with some injuries, but his injuries is healed. He's doing fine now, and especially his physical gifts. I mean, he ran a 4.40 40. Fantastic. Moehrig was a 4.50. He was a 4.40. A 10.8 broad jump, which is Richie Grant had a 10.9. I'll give that to Richie Grant. But Caden Stearns, 42-inch vertical leap. Justin Simmons was a 40. So you're talking about physical gifts here. Short shuttle for Caden Stearns, 4.16. Yeah, Trevon was a 4.19. He's right there with him. Javon Holland was a 4.14, right there with him. But look at all the athletic traits. 4.40 40, 10.8 broad jump, 42 vert, 20 shuttle, 4.16. And he did 14 on the bench. So dynamic player, has tape to go with it. So, and that's projected right now in the 4th round. I think he'll move up to the 3rd, but right now they have him at the 4th. Another guy that I believe that the Raiders are highly interested in, the reason I think that is because Tyree Gillespie, his pro day was ran by the Raiders DB coach. So that was, I'm sure, on purpose. But he's 6 foot. They have him listed at 6 foot. 202 on a showcase. This picture I have here doesn't really match his stats, actually. He's basically 6 foot, but he plays at 207. And he can kind of play both. I mean, he would kind of take the place of Jeff Heath, I believe, because he can do the free safety and the strong safety. He can add weight. He's played heavier than 207 before. But anyways, just play a free safety. I know he plays split safety in college, but he has reps at free safety, which are very good on tape. His arms are 31. I didn't get a lot off of his other stats, but I did get his 40 time. It was 4.38. Now we're talking dynamic. I didn't get the rest of it, but I believe he had a terrific pro day, and I'll try to find that for our next episode. But I'm pretty sure that the Raiders are definitely interested in Tyree Gillespie. And the reason I say that is because he has tape to back it up. If you go watch his game against Alabama, it was fantastic. The tackles he made against Najee Harris, the pass breakups he was making, the coverage he was showing out there was, I mean, if you're going to have good tape, have it against Alabama. And it was fantastic. So I see no reason why the Raiders wouldn't jump all over this player, Tyree Gillespie. Look, and the physical trait, the 4.38 speed. And I know he had a terrific combine. I just don't have the stats in front of me, but he had a wingspan of 75, which is really good. But anyways, but the height, the weight, the speed, everything else matches up with what we'd be looking for. But even if you go even deeper into the draft, there's other guys. And I don't understand why people still have it. Round 5 of Paris Ford and Richard LeCount. No, thank you. Their pro days were not good. But James Wiggins out of Cincinnati. So again, 6 foot, 205. That number comes up a lot. 38-inch vert, 10.7 broad jump, 20 reps on bench press. This guy is physically gifted. He was fantastic. He dealt with injuries at Cincinnati. I think that's probably why he's in the 5th round. But again, another guy with physicality that jumps off the page, and his tape shows it as well. He can play. This guy is a player. So another guy that's deeper in the draft that has better physical traits or comparable traits to the guys in the 1st and 2nd round and some of the comp guys that are already in the NFL, has those traits but has the tape to back it up. Cincinnati's defense their defensive backfield was one of the best in the country the last couple of years, and he was a big part of it. So another guy that they can get even in the 5th round to match what the free safety position would look like for the Raiders. Damar Hamlin, I would say no. He ran a 4.59, and they have him around the 5th or 6th round. He's 6 foot, 201. He's a possibility out of Pitt, but there's other guys I think that are just much better. Joshua Bledsoe, another guy that people are heavily looking at, 5'11", 204, 4.52, out of Mizzou. So another guy people are considering for the Raiders. One guy I think people are really sleeping on is Derek Forrest out of Cincinnati, 6 foot, 206, 4.38 40, 39-inch vertical jump, 11-inch broad jump, 21 reps on the bench. So again, another guy physically that can do it and has the tape to back it up. Trey Norwood, he was 5'11", 192, so he's under that weight, but he ran a 4.58. I mean, he had some other physical tools, but I'd still say no on him. And Tack Thompson, 6'2", he ran a 4.6 though. And I'm not sure his other physical traits. There's some more to him out of San Diego State that we may want to consider looking at, but again, there are players here. There's also, and I hate to say this too, because I know we don't want a cornerback at Ohio State, but Sean Wade, his first year, he was a free safety. He was very good at it. Then he switched like LaMarcus Joyner to cornerback, and it didn't go so well. But as a free safety, or as a safety, he was very good. So I'm interested. I think he's going to have his pro day, a makeup or something on the 14th, so we'll see how that goes. Some other guys to kind of keep an eye on. There are cornerbacks that could transfer over to safety. Nate Hobbs out of Illinois. I mean, incredible athlete. 4.38, a 40.5-inch vertical, 11.3 broad jump, 3.96 short shuttle. He's the only one that came close to Justin Simmons at 3.85, and a 6.68 three cone, which was just a tenth off a 6.58 of Justin Simmons. So somebody to possibly keep an eye on. He's 6 foot. He's only 195 though, so something to keep in mind. He'd be a great cornerback for us. And Jason Pinnock out of Pitt, 6 foot, 204, 4.52 40, but a 39-inch vert or 39.5-inch vert, a 12.8 broad jump. He was a cornerback. He had the lowest completion rate against him on outside cornerbacks in 2019 at 37%. But I think he at a 4.54 he might just as well convert to a safety. So those physical traits are there. And then another guy, Eric Burrell, which people had talked about, but he ran a 4.64, so I wouldn't put him in consideration. Another thing about Nate Hobbs, he's a kick and punt returner and plays cover 3 at Illinois. So just something to consider. So the next thing we'll talk about now is the strong safety position. So if we look at Gus Bradley's strong safeties, you're looking at Cam Chancellor, 6'3", 231, 33-inch arms, a 4.62 40, so not as fast as our free safeties, 32-inch vert, 4.41 short shuttle, and 7.36 three cone, so maybe he's not as athletic. 22 on the bench. But Cam Chancellor is a unique individual. He's 6'3", 231. I mean, he could hit, so he can get away with a little bit more. But I think you should probably focus on Jamal Adams, 5'10", 214, a 4.56, 4.13 short shuttle, 6.96 three cone. That's kind of where you probably want your strong safety to be. And then obviously Derwin James, 6'2", 216, a 4.47 with a 40-inch vert. So that's the athleticism. That's sort of the common traits that you would want out of our strong safety. And that's why I say Jonathan Abram does not match that strong safety. Neither does Carl Joseph. So people keep wanting to put those two guys on that spot, and physically they're not. Hopefully Jonathan Abram comes in physically at that 215 number so he can do those things. But that's just, I mean, physically it's not really where he should be. Some guys in the draft that have been talked about at Florida State, Hamster Nasruddin, I think, 6'3", 215, 34-inch arms. Vert was only 32. Short shuttle 4.31, which is good, and a 7.05 three cone. My problem with him is at the Senior Bowl, he was terrible in coverage. And it's one thing to be not great at coverage, especially as a big safety, but you can't be terrible, and he was terrible. But he was coming off injury, so my take on him is if his knee, because he had it hurt twice, he had surgery, and then he hurt it again last season, and I think it slowed him down at the combine. But if that knee is not back, it's pretty risky because he's looking at maybe a round 2 or maybe early 3 pick. So if that knee isn't right and he still has these sort of numbers and can't cover, that wouldn't be worth it. If his knee's back to 2018 or 2019, he's definitely somebody that we should consider drafting. Just a lot of risk there with the injury. The best person would be J.O.K. out of Notre Dame if we drafted him number 1 overall. But again, we'd have to, Jonathan Abram and Carl Joseph would both be free safeties because you're not going to draft some guy in the first round and have him either back up or have him bench your prior year's first round picks. That wouldn't make any sense. But Jock 6'1", 221, a 10.4 broad jump, 36.5-inch vertical leap, 4.15. 20 shuttle, a 6.81 three cone. So he's got the quickness. He's got the wingspan, 78. Nasruddin had 81 wingspan, which is great. But so Jock he's not a linebacker. People keep saying that. He's a strong safety in our system. He'd be perfect. But to draft him, we have to bench or move Jonathan Abram, which I'm not against the free safeties. That's where he should be anyway. So that's kind of my take on that. The kid out of USC projects as a strong safety. I can't pronounce his name. Talanoa, I think is his name, 6'1". I think he dropped a bunch of weight for the combine, but he played at 215. But as pro day, they said he went down to 200. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, but he only ran a 4.61. It shows on film. He's slow. He hits. He does all those things, but he's slow. I don't think in coverage he would be able to hold up. But here's my favorite, and somebody I think the Raiders should draft for a strong safety, especially if we're going to bring in a backup strong safety. Jacoby Stevens, all day long. One of my favorite players in the draft. 6'1", 212, 32-inch arms. Ran a 4.50 40, which is really good for a strong safety. You know, Jamal Adams was a 4.56, and Derwin James was a 4.47. Keep in mind, Derwin James was a 40-inch vert. Guess what? Jacoby Stevens, 42-inch vertical. Athletic traits are there. The tape is there. He hits. He blitzes. He's got great tape against Kyle Pitts of Florida, covering the tight end. So this is definitely somebody I think the Raiders should take as a strong safety. This would be my pick. It should be around the 4th round. He might move up a little bit, but he has the athletic traits to pop, right, that we're looking for, that match up with comparable players in the NFL that are great at their craft. So definitely somebody to consider. Another one to consider is Divine Diablo of Virginia Tech, 6'3", 226. Ran a 4.46 and a 10.6 broad jump, which is really good. Yeah, that's excellent. 4.40 short shuttle, 7.12, 3-cone. Didn't necessarily have a great Senior Bowl in some of the practices of the game. I think he did all right in. Some of the coverage is a little questionable. I think that might be because of the weight. He's 6'3", 226. He's not, he's kind of that Cam Chancellor, but he's nobody's Cam Chancellor. So, that's kind of the way he plays. I would stick with Jacoby Stevens if I were the Raiders. Definitely more the mold of Jamal Adams and Derwin James, in my opinion. Another guy that gets talked about is Jamin Sherwood out of Auburn, 6'1", 216, but he ran a 4.75, so I wouldn't go there. He did have a 36-inch vertical, which is really good for a guy that size, but 4.75, I don't think that's going to cut it. And Christian Uphoff out of Illinois State ran a 4.58, was pretty good. He had a 10 broad jump, 4.38 short shuttle, and a 7.09. And he actually impressed a little bit in the Senior Bowl. So if it got late in the draft and we wanted a backup, he's kind of a 6th-round prospect that could come in at strong safety, I think wouldn't be bad. So if we missed out on a couple of the other guys, yeah, I could see us maybe taking him late in the draft. So anyways, that's what I got as far as kind of the breakdown for the Raiders safety position. I know it was big news today with Carl Joseph coming back and kind of where he's going to fit the team. You all know my take on Jonathan Abrams. He either needs to add 10 pounds, which I think he's trying to do to be our strong safety, or he needs to go to free safety. Carl Joseph, he's going to play free safety for us. 5'10", 205, that's where he should be, at 4'5'7". That's definitely where he should be. Jeff Heath, my opinion is nothing, right? Hopefully the Raiders take it for what it is. I still think that we have Carl Joseph, we have Jonathan Abram. I still think we draft Caden Stearns, Tyree Gillespie, and Jacoby Stevens. Caden to back up Carl Joseph, Jacoby to back up and compete with Jonathan Abram, Tyree to take Jeff Heath's place on the team and save that $3 million. I think our team would be so much more dynamic with these players. They're so much more athletic. They got a tremendous upside. And I say backup, I mean come in and compete for starting jobs. Of course, we have Jevin White at a strong safety position, which we don't know what we have in him. He's got all the physical tools, but we didn't get to see it much last year. I'm not sure if there's a reason for that. Maybe he's not able to do it or whatnot, but that's something that we can consider. Tanner Muse, he should be playing one of our safety positions, but for whatever reason, we felt like converting him to will linebacker, and I hope him all the luck in the world. I hope he makes it. I thought he was a good pick out of Clemson, but I thought we were picking him as a safety and not a linebacker. So anyways, that is what I would do if I were the Raiders. Heavy on defense in the draft. I'd look at obviously tackle, maybe a guard, maybe a receiver. Other than that, all my other picks would be, or possibly a running back as well to take Richard's place. Other than that, it would be all defense, and we need to improve our defensive backfield tremendously. But first, the first 2 rounds, we need to increase our pass rush. So the way these guys are actually get better is if we have a better pass rush. So I think the focus has to be there, the pass rush, and then we do our DBs later in the draft, because there's so many of these guys, like I just pointed out, they have the physical tools. Not only that, they have the tape to go with it. So, and then if you flop that around, the physical tools for some of the pass rushers, there's so many more gifted top-end pass rushers we get in the first 2 rounds versus waiting lower in the draft. Obviously, Barmore is one of my favorite players at the first round. So is Azeez Ojulari, tremendous players. Second round, I listed out if you didn't check out my video yesterday, Baron Browning be great as a Sam. Osai out of Texas as a Sam, or Joe Tryon out of Washington as a Sam linebacker for us. All would be great. All would help our pass rush. So more focus on pass rush in the first couple rounds than I am now at safety. Although JOK would be a strong safety, would be fabulous. He'd make our defense awesome. But again, that would be making Jonathan Abram definitely would be playing free safety. So that's all I got. Hopefully you enjoyed the video tonight. Leave some comments, like the video. Actually, definitely leave comments. I want to hear what y'all have to say. Like the video, please. It helps me out. Subscribe to the channel. Share it with your friends. And again, this is Raider Sparks. And we'll talk to you next time on the Raiders Roster Report. Have a good night.